Now let's discuss this with independent Dutch journalist Sonja van den Ende. Ms. van den Ende, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. Hello.
Now, despite Kyiv's claims of fake news, Moscow has now provided proof of the actual attack on President Putin's residence. How will the presentation of such hard evidence affect Zelensky and Ukraine politically?
Well, politically, Zelensky is, of course, in a terrible situation. I mean, there are already rumors or saying that Zaluzhny, he is now residing in Britain, he might be a candidate for the next presidential election. That means if the election goes through, because, of course, Zelensky will all the time figure out something that, okay, we cannot hold it within 6 months because, you know, a lot of people are not in Ukraine. And so it's quite difficult to have a presidential election. So, but politically, he is already in a very bad state, of course. If you think of all the corruption, what took place, I mean, like Mindic, who is under corruption charges, and others in his government. So, I mean, politically, he is in a bad state. But okay, he will just hang on, I think, because his like masters, we can say, in Europe, they prefer him because I think he knows a lot of bad things about Europe and him and corruption, so they will do everything to keep him there. That's what I guess is what will happen, what we'll see.
And what about the negotiation process? How will Ukraine's failed attack affect the negotiation process?
Well, we already see that, you know, in the past, like last year, we had peace negotiations in Istanbul. The same day that there were peace negotiations, a passenger train derailed because of Ukraine attacked it. And a lot of other things happened inside Russia. So every time when there are peace negotiations, something happens, a drone attack or something like what I just said. And also, we must not forget that a few days ago, actually just before Christmas, Zelensky made a statement on X, and he stated that he wished Putin to be dead. This was his Christmas wish. So imagine this. So I mean, this is totally crazy and insane. And I would like to say also, when you look at all the so-called EU politicians on X, they have very bad language about Russia, about the politicians and so on. So, I mean, and also we know that, for instance, last night there were also again drone attacks here in the Moscow regions, I think 5 regions. And well, of course, the drone attack on a resident from the president, it's very terrible to say the least. I mean, it's actually an attempt for murder, we can say that. And the Kiev regime is now attempting also terrorism, but this is doing it already, since 2 or 3 years. So that means you're actually losing, and this is what we, of course, see on the battlefield.
Now, the Ukrainian foreign minister has criticized the world's condemnation of the attack, claiming it didn't actually even happen. So, given that the U.S. has one of the most powerful intelligence systems in the world, why do you think Moscow would risk lying to Donald Trump about a fabricated strike?
Well, of course, he will say that because he is in a very bad position, as I said before, Zelensky. And what you said, I mean, the U.S. also has a powerful intelligence community, so they would detect straight away if it really was a fake flag, false flag, as we call it. But this is just the lying again, the lying around this subject about the attempt to attack. I mean, he did it actually, but I wonder if he did it alone. I don't think so. I think he is backed up by NATO. I mean, if we look at the location of Valdai, it's to the west. We can see Estonia and Lithuania. And maybe it's in coordination with NATO. Of course, we have no proof of that, or it comes from Ukraine itself. It could be. I mean, this is up to Russia to investigate where actually the attack came from. But we know that, for instance, the Netherlands is cooperating with Ukraine with drones. I mean, they have all these drone factories in possession in Ukraine, in Western Ukraine. So for me, it's not, it would not be something strange if NATO is also involved. And because NATO is 100%, maybe 200% collaborating with Ukraine. I mean, but the US is right. I mean, they say that, okay, you know, we didn't detect any false flag, and we saw that it really happened. And so this is what is going on. And this is, Zelensky lying again. And again on the day that there were peace negotiations. And of course, Europe will also negotiate or speak with Zelensky again this week about all this and the so-called peace negotiations, which is actually a laughing stock at the moment for Europe, I mean, and Ukraine.
Yes. Now, Kyiv resorted to striking Vladimir Putin's residence at the Kremlin in 2023, even after the Russian president promised not to kill Zelensky. Now, that's according to Israel's former prime minister. What do you think of the difference in approach between Russia and Ukraine when it comes to targeting political leaders?
Well, as I said, a few days before Christmas, he said in his Christmas wish that he would like to see the president of Russia dead. So, I mean, this is, according to me, it's like a death threat. I mean, this is not what you should say as a president on X, a social media platform, to wish another president dead. I mean, this is crazy, a situation. And I mean, this is actually how Zelensky is now falling apart. And we can see this. And what I said, he makes a laughing stock of himself, but a terrible laughing stock, because if you as a president going to say that you want the other president dead, well, what kind of world are we in? If presidents say to each other, I wish you dead tomorrow or whatever. So, I mean, this says something about the state of politics in Ukraine, the regime actually, as we can call it. And I think maybe we can see in the future another president. Maybe let's hope that there really will be elections. I doubt it, but of course the hardliners in Europe don't want to see another president because they can manage Zelensky. That's what we can see. But maybe Zelensky is another candidate, but he's even worse because he's more radicalized. He's a general on the battlefield. And it states that the politicians in Ukraine are not politicians, but actually he's also an actor, Zelensky. So that says it all. And yeah, let's hope that it will be okay. I mean, I think the only solution at the moment is, and this is what is Russia also doing, that there is progress on the battlefield, that the new territories, the new Russian territories will be liberated, and that Ukraine, one way or the other, has to surrender. And this is, I think, at the moment, the best option. But okay, this is up to, of course, the Russian Minister of Defense and the Russian soldiers who are fighting there. So, but at the moment, I cannot see any progress from Ukraine or the Europeans who are backing him.
Now, Ms. van den Ende, Belarusian President Lukashenko says that Vladimir Putin refused to even consider striking at Zelensky when he had the opportunity. Let's take a listen.
When the Oreshnik missile was used for the first time, some hotheads suggested to Putin that we should launch a second strike against these terrorists and so on, or even against the decision-making centers. Putin categorically rejected this idea outright. It's not that they agreed not to shoot at each other, but the situation in this war was such that no one was trying to assassinate any of the heads of state. No one did. And then, an attempt to strike one of the presidential residences.
Now, why has Russia refused to target high-level political figures? And could Moscow's response change in response to this attack?
Well, it shows the level of intelligence in politics in Russia. It shows that Russia is not wishing to assassinate any politician, and they didn't do that in the last 3 years when the special military operation started. This is something like a code you don't do. I mean, if you are a good politician, if you are an honest politician and you are doing honest politics, that you will not kill your assassin. I mean, they have a war, and actually they think they have a war in Europe and, of course, Ukraine. But it's a special military operation, and I think the people should think and realize why this special military operation started. It started because the Kiev regime was suppressing the people in the eastern Donbass that time. Now it's Russia. And this is how it all started in 2014. And this started with a coup d'etat. It was from the US and, of course, the Europeans. Now the US is out and Europeans are still in. But, I mean, this is a very bad kind of politics. And this is very bad also, of course, towards a peace solution if you're going to assassinate your opponents. I mean, we are now in the 21st century, and I think a lot of people are adult enough to speak with each other, to solve the problems. And also, I mean, the problems between Ukraine and Russia regarding the Donbass should be done by talking and not assassinating politicians. And I think Russia, of course, is up to this level, but what we can see, the Ukrainian government is not up to this level of peace negotiations. I hope it will happen, but what we see so far with all the negotiations, all the time, they are attacking. And this is, of course, very bad when you are speaking about peace. And well, I hope there will be adult enough also to start speaking to Russia, and this is the only way forward to have negotiations, and only US and Europe can say mediate. I think this is what the solution should be.
Now, let's move to the front lines for a second. So we've seen a lack of success for Ukraine on the front lines, as well as reports of regular attempts at terror attacks. So what does this say about Kyiv's current political and military situation?
Well, the military situation is very bad. We can hear every day, and we know that it's true. We can see all the videos and so on that the Ukraine army is surrendering or being killed. It's, of course, the worst part. We see the recent liberation of Krasnoyarsk, Dimitrov, also Kupiansk is nearly liberated or is liberated now. So they slowly but gradually are going to liberate all these towns, these towns are now in the Donetsk People's Republic. And we can see that the aim is, and I think it's not done in a very, very quick way. This was never meaningful to do this, but they do it slowly, but gradually they liberate all these towns. So the front line is going towards the west. And I think, well, one day or another, it's clear that Ukraine is losing so much that they have to surrender. We can also see all these videos from the Ministry of Defense where Ukrainian prisoners of war stating that, you know, that they, to their fellow soldiers or commanders, it's better to surrender because the circumstances in which they have to fight, it's so bad that, I mean, they cannot fight, maybe training 1 or 2 days, and this is bad. And we also hear, like last week or week before, that around 1,000 soldiers were encircled in Dimitrov, which is now liberated. And of course, there are also statements from another country like the Netherlands that they have standing drone managers there. And they fled back to the Netherlands, stating that it was no longer retainable to stay there. So, I mean, from all sides, actually, we can say that Russia is clearly winning, although not in a very quick way, but it is winning. And it's always trying not to make any civilian casualties, what the West is claiming they do. When they attack like energy structures or military structures, but not civilians. But it means that I think let's hope in a few months we can see that the whole of the Donbass is liberated. And this was actually the goal of the special military operation. And there was a referendum in 2022 which clearly stated that these 4 regions are now part of Russia. So then Russia is as a whole again, and that is the aim.
Well, thank you so much for the details. We just heard from independent Dutch journalist Sonja van den Ende.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye. Have a happy new year.
Thank you. You too.